Hello, let's see if everything is fine. I'm not sure there is volume, but yeah, it should be fine. Stream. Okay. Uh, yeah, so Bitcoin. Let's see. Not not much change, by the way. Went up a little bit. Yeah, maybe should have taken a profit here, but I was sleeping, so I chose to leave it during the night. Still a little bit of profit. It was like yesterday evening, the same. And I think we should be going up. Let's see. So 15 minutes is a little bit bearish. 45. View up coming down. 3 hours. 3 hours is nice. 4 hours. 4 hours is also fine. Daily money flow is too heavy here. I don't like it. I hope it starts to go up. 30 for daily. That's what? That's a what? Fucking what? It's weekly. Weekly is a little bit bearish, diminishing bearish. So yeah, maybe we're in limbo again. Once a 15 minute, maybe it will turn. Volume is diminishing. Yeah, let's see. This view up probably should go up like that till here. It doesn't look good here because it's below these lines, the Kijun Sen. No, the Kijun Sen. This is the Tenkan Sen. The Kijun Sen is here. Yeah. Maybe there is little more room for the upside, maybe not. So it's really neutral. Neutral to bearish. But yeah, I'll leave my positions. I don't want to close them. Anyway, let's see what the market has for us today. Let's see, maybe crypto face is wide.
It is your friend, Crypto Face. Boy, you know, this channel we used to make, well, I always say we because I believe in we as a community, but this channel used to do videos, you know, and now really we've really just, majority is really just streams of my trades, and there's a lot of people out there that aren't able to watch such said streams. Sally streams on the shore of September. And I figured we would just go over, I suppose, the market cipher, and really identifying the environment. And for me, it's pretty simple. The environment has been the same for over a month, I believe. Mainly with the strength behind the upward movement and downward movement. If you plan on trading long term, your environment, and how you consistently, safely, profitably trade over the long term, you have to adapt to the trading environment, because it does change and it is adaptable. You are able to adapt to it. Lo and behold, on multiple time frames, we have been seeing terrific basic strategy. We've been seeing, you know, for example, with longs, nice money flow curves, momentums coming up, VWAPs that would be also be coming up on the higher time frames, so to speak, RSIs coming up, but good DBSIs, good signals, but we have been seeing very split RSIs. These are both these two lines are both separate RSIs that are that are color coded. And it's very simple. When these two lines are closer together, it is strong. The movement is stronger. The move is strong. There's legs under it or above it. When it is split and spread, especially this gap, it is weak. And what has been happening for the past month, maybe even 2 months, is we have little long setups, but you cannot get carried away, because they will just get cracked down, and they have been on multiple time frames. It's been volatile, right? For example, so we're on the hourly on Bitcoin, right? We squish it overall, yeah, money flow coming up, momentum overall going to the upside. You see overall blue shifting up, yay, right? And the price has overall gone up, but it's been getting cracked down and cracked down and cracked down and coming up, cracked down and coming up, cracked down. So I don't know about anybody else, but I know for me, it's been taking the pittance, and those little pittance add up. The little fish add up. Taking the little fish, earlier today on the 4 and the 6 hour, We were right here. We had the red dot also on the 4 hour. We were right here. And man, right now when the price moves up a little bit, everyone is so gung-ho. And it's always going to be like that too. That never really changes. No matter what type of market, no matter how bearish, or if it's going down to 3,000 or 10,000, no matter what, there's always going to be people screaming the bottom, and screaming this is it. And that's just how it is. And you just have to learn to tune everyone out and focus on your tunnel, on your environment, and adapt to it. So if you're, playing these longs on these lower time frames, and we see the 4 hour, the 60 or higher time frames are showing gapped RSIs, you know that yes, overall, money flow coming up, momentum coming up, but it's going to be a jagged, ragged ride. So plan accordingly, trade accordingly, or not accordingly. That's just me. Taking a look at the weekly. Let's go. See there, that's any different. Weekly money flow, gap, momentum coming down, RSIs coming down. Still have our little rejection, our little support off this spider line for now. So if you're a bull, you definitely on the lower time frames when you start seeing this stuff start curving up. This momentum wave clip, this one is wide open right now. It's not looking like that on the weekly. Going to the 4-day. 4-day, zoomed in a little bit. We got little V-wappage, a little kind of a little V-wappage there coming. Not, we like to see nice, smooth, good, rounded V-waps. And this one, that is there. This V-wap's a little etchy, a little jagged. Down overall money flow, still light, little. You can go back in the past and kind of see what the price did, and sometimes it was the bottom, sometimes it was not. Sometimes it was down here, and price comes up, then it comes down lower. It's just the reality. Looking at the daily, they've got a little curve in the RSIs, VWAP curving down. Small curves, deep in the money flow, I believe, is what Bitcoin and them were looking at. This is pretty deep down in the money flow. I don't remember which time frame they were looking at. Was it maybe it was the daily? That's pretty low. Yeah, it's down there. Even here in October 19, this was a bottom, so to speak. Price came up a lot, came back down, eventually came back down lower. About the RSIs, boom, boom. Okay, that was pretty close to the bottom. Right over here, man, that wasn't it. That wasn't the bottom yet. It was a bottom, came up, came lower. So, future unclear. But certainly leaning bearish, certainly. VWAP coming to the downside on the 12-hour. Yeah, go to lower time frames. Yeah, we go to lower time frames. Have a little money. That's when we see the money flow start to curve up here. In the 12-hour, I mean, it's slightly moving up. This is certainly not confident RSIs. This current VWAP coming down. Momentum, obviously, momentum is still completely leaning to the downside. Certainly no confirmations of it turning up on the 12-hour. Going to the 6-hour. All right, you got a little money flow here, a little RSI kind of coming up there, but as the immediate term, momentum coming down, VWAP, coming up, I guess, a little bit there. Yeah, I mean, this looks like, yeah, it could have some coming up, but doesn't look. This actually is the most bullish thing we've seen yet since the beginning on the 4-hour. About as bullish. It's the first time frame starting from the 2-week down where we actually okay, there's some little hope here. Momentums, money flows, RSIs, but they could look better. Coming on the 2-hour, it's still thin, it's wide. There's not much juice here, which makes sense when volume is thin. I think a lot of the institutions are hands off right now. The institutions, whatever that be. If I was a betting man, which I am, I would say this looks more like sideways and watching another YouTube channel today, posted on Twitter. You guys have heard me say, by the way, my Twitter has, ever since I started doing the Twitter, certainly get inbox messages full of people and their stories, different stories, but many stories of how, they got wrecked or they're going through a tough time, or they just they want to learn how to trade. I want to learn how to trade, and they explain why they need it so bad, or why they've gotten smacked and they need to trade it back. And can you teach them? And here's what what Gary Vee said. It was in reference to NFTs. The guy asked me, if you had $500 and you wanted to get into an NFT game, what would you do? And he said, number one, he'd take that 500, go garage sale hunting and flip it into $5,000. That was the first thing he said. Number two is he said, hit up the little NFT crypto communities and ask them to work for them, be a mod. Basically, what he said is what I've been saying as well, which is, if you really want to try to take on trading, man, take on yourself, then you should generate you gotta have a second income to fund it. Open up a lemonade stand. Not your main income, certainly not your last 500 or 1,000 or all you got. Especially if you're not young and if you have a family. Oh, you better be slanging them lemonades and Girl Scout cookies. I don't care if you have to get your kids to knock on doors and sell chocolates. The environment shifts whether you like it or not. it is adaptable, or it's not impossible. I have been having a great 2 months. Great 2 months. I had one trade where I got knocked pretty good for 230 grand, and I think a couple other that were like 50 grand or something. But yeah, it's been a good 2 months for me. And this is the first time. This is the first time for this weak RSI gap type of environment. This is the first time in my experience where I've had to trade like this, and it's actually really, it's once you have the environment pegged and it just keeps repeating itself. Just like we said, Bitcoin will make a pattern. It'll, whether it's a Chinese trumpet or a Head and Shoulders or a Bangladesh tiger. Let's say it makes two shark fins. That's the pattern. And after the shark fins, it goes up a bunch. On the 6 hour, well then on the 10-minute, Bitcoin will make shark fins on the 10-minute and go up. And then on the daily, you'll see there's two big shark fins and it goes up. And on the 5-minute, it makes two shark fins and it goes up. Bitcoin takes patterns and repeats them on multiple time frames. It does it all the time. And it's the same thing with our other indicators, oscillators, everything else. And right now, these weak, the basic strategy, everything pointing up, but it doesn't have much legs. Price goes up, there's money to be made, but boy, you really gotta be able to take your profits. Absolutely set your stops. Don't set yourself up to get cut. It's better to have a trade where you make nothing or lose a tiny bit than one where you lose a lot. And if you make the mistake, you say, "Oh shit, I didn't take profit when I could have." And you know, man, listen, it's when it pumps, it's pretty much done. On these moves, when it pumps, the price has been coming back down. So when you're in your trade, if you're in and it goes boom, and you see the order book, when it has a pump, take the money, dude, because it's gonna come back down. And then look at this, came all the way back down. Then yay, it pumped. This one kind of went sideways. Then boom, pump, back down, pump, back down, bam. When it pumps, and you see the order book stall and freeze after it going up 500 or $1,000, take the money, man. Take the money. Exit the trade. You'll be able to get another one later, and don't chase it. Take the scraps. Eat the krill. That is if you're trying to do this stuff. So yeah, and I don't see it stopping. I think this whole I think it seems like it's gonna keep on doing the same thing for another month. Weak moves up, chop down, volatile. Weak moves up and down. It's weak. And it is jagged. It is moving up and down a lot. Like every other candle is up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. So it's can really mind screw you. It's not going up, chilling, and then down, and then chilling, and going up. It's jagged, like a cactus. Looks like a cactus.
Very funny.
Roses have their thorns. Cactuses have much more. This is a cacti. We're in a cacti environment. It's prickly. But even in cacti, there is water. Even cacti produce beautiful flowers. Some of them.
Yeah, true. True,
It has many pricks.
Fuck that.
Market Cypher, official sponsor of Platinum Mike Perry. Fight coming up in February. He's fighting, let me bang, bro. That dude looked pretty decent his last 2 fights. We're going to be sponsoring Platinum Mike Perry again. Don't forget the Academy. Had a lot of great feedback. And Evan Aldo's coming. We got another big-time OG from our community that's going to be an educator as well. That should be uploaded any day now. And as far as the merch, we got to get on top of that, and we're gonna be switching our merch, film and stuff around. Other than that, folks, how about that black gold? I can't help but to oil, baby. Oil. You know, listen, if crypto, if it could be a great time to expand into other assets. If crypto ain't doing it for you, you'd be surprised, or maybe not, how much simpler something else may be. Hell, you might learn something. Alrighty, folks. Thank you for all of you who support me. I love you guys. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. We're like 7-8K away. That'll be pretty cool when we hit that. And, yeah. Have a good night.
Cheers. Should have stayed on Euro side. Oh, it's doing very good. Wow, this indicator is awesome. I mean, it went during the night exactly to this level. I should have placed a take profit there. This is lessons warrant for my next trades. Oh, wow, is pumping hard. What the fuck? Pumping quite crazy. Okay, Bitcoin is shitting again. Ah, maybe we'll have Euro coming up as well. Today Bitcoin is shit. It is just shit.
Welcome to another day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. Over the past couple days, the crypto market has shown some signs of strength as we're approaching Mercury retrograde, which is tomorrow. So in today's video, I'm going to cover the scenarios I see playing out over the next week, which will include the full moon on Monday. So I'll start this one off with some gematria and numerology connections and tie it into the charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and I'll also be sharing a quick analysis on the DXY US dollar currency index, since that could be playing a role in the trajectory of the crypto market over the next couple of months. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with gematria, numerology, and astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to like this channel and share with other conscious beings to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with gematria, you can join my mastermind course. The link to my website can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below for access to the mastermind course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So, there's been some crazy price volatility over the past week, as I've warned everyone, because going back to last week around this exact time, 7 days ago, we were having the 666-day connection back to the start of the pandemic back in March of 2020. And we watched all of that come to pass. And then on the days of January 10th and January 11th, we had a little bit of a pivot. And I was warning everyone of this because of the 1 1 and the 111 connection. So January 10th being 1-1 in the 222 year, and January 11th being the 111 in the 222 year, and this being 4 months and 4 days since Rosh Hashanah. Another big connection here was the following date, giving us the 55 date numerology, and that 55 comes back to Satoshi Nakamoto in Gematria, Chaldean right here. You could see that 55. So this whole week was definitely a setup for some change, and the lows that we had on the date of the 10th were actually 111 days since the lows we had around the full moon of Rosh Hashanah. So this will just be a quick recap of my last video, and we'll see how that all came to pass. So this 100-day connection to the 21st of September to the 10th, going from low to low. And then we also have from the big dump that we had on the day of Rosh Hashanah, going back to the big correction on May 19th, that's 111 days. So this 111 connection was massive because, of course, this all happened on the 1-1 date in the 222 year, and it leaded into the transition of the 111, the date numerology, the 11th day of the first month of the new year of 2022. There's a lot of numerological connections we're going to have this year, of course, just because of this 222, and we know that we have some big important things happening in February, such as Chinese New Year. We have the start of Platinum Jubilee, and then we also have the 2-2 date, and then the 22nd of February, the 222 in the 222 year, and we are currently in the Hebrew year of 5782, which reduces down to 22. This is the master builder, master destroyer number. So it's a very important thing to take into consideration because this is all happening during the year of Shemitah, which is the 7-year sabbatical cycle practiced in Judaism and practiced in the world financial system. So with that being said, there's a lot of connections that we can make here. We're going to be doing a lot of date numerology over the next pretty much the whole year, because everything that's happening this year is very crucial as we transition through the end of Rosh Hashanah, which will be in September of 2022. We've seen this happen in the past, and when I brought this up to the world back in May, how ever since September of 2021, we're going to start to see lots of change in our world, lots of change in the legal system. We're going to see lots of change in the financial system and life as we know it. And we're starting to see that kind of unfold now as we've transitioned into the 2022 year. Lots of control happening, lots of, we're even seeing some civil unrest happening in certain nations. It's kind of gearing up for transition, and perhaps the months of April and May are going to tell us the big story of what's to come. But historically, we see big market volatility when the Shemitah ends, because Shemitah in Hebrew means release. So when we get to September of 2022, which is pretty far away from now, it's about 9 months away, we historically see that it's the months of October, November, where we get really, really big change in finances. So I know a lot of you come to this channel because of what I go over with crypto. I know a lot of people also come to this channel because of the exposing of the truth of how gematria, numerology, and astrology runs this market. And I do my best to get everyone prepared as far in advance as I possibly can. And I'm just going to start this one out by letting everyone know, this is going to be one of those years that really, really sets us up for how things are going to be moving forward. Just like the year of 2020 was a huge setup. Again, we had event 201 back in the year of 2019, and that was 6 months in advance, setting us up for the year of 2020, which again turns back to 22. And this year, the Hebrew year of 5782 becomes the 22. This is not by mistake, because this number is very important in the occult. All right. So let's just get going with all of this. But I wanted to lay this out. It's really the month of April into May that I'm looking for perhaps an all-time high in the market, but also followed by massive collapse in the market. And the more and more that I'm studying this, and the more and more decoding I'm doing in the background, that's kind of the time frame that I'm seeing here. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me talking about other astrologers that they follow mentioning the same thing, kind of this idea of bullish price into March, April, and then a little bit of, chaos around May. And as we move forward, I'm going to be sharing tons of information about this, but these next 2 months are sort of, difficult to figure out just because of all the connections. And one of the things that is also quite important for people to remember is that January is really not the start of the new year. Okay, and this is something I've exposed when it comes to just the names of the months, the prefixes, like the month of October being oct being 8. So the month of November, Nov being 9, then December, Dechi or Deci is 10. It's not 12, okay? So this is actually the 11th month of the year. January is 11 when you consider it as the months. Don't look at these numbers down here, just follow what I'm saying. Okay, so the real end of the year is next month, guys. February. It's the end of the cycle, and March is the true new year. It is when the harvest starts. It makes so much more sense when you perceive it this way. Okay, and of course we do have a 13th zodiac. It's hidden, it's not spoken about, but more importantly, the cycle actually starts in March. So when they declared the pandemic back in March of 2020, again, the 2-2 year, in the true first month of the year, this wasn't by accident, okay? This was them restarting everything. And that's why we had a huge market crash that bottomed on March 13th, which was a Friday the 13th. Guess what happens in May? We have a Friday the 13th. So that's going to be something that I'm going to start talking a lot more about, just trying to set us up as best as I can get you guys moving into the next 4 to 5 months. Try to get a lot of information to you guys far in advance, just like I did last year with the month of May. I started exposing Shemitah all the way in September, but back in May. And that kind of information is something I feel helps a lot of people to just get spiritually prepared, to get, calm, and to be so prepared for things so far in advance that they don't need to worry like everyone else does when these big changes happen. So, one of the things that I mentioned in my last video was how I was perceiving the dates of January 10th and January 11th as a pivot point. Perhaps moving into the 12th and the 13th, we would start to see some sort of bullish reversal into Mercury retrograde. I actually also exposed this in my last Red Pill podcast, which was over this weekend, and I was discussing how this is how I was perceiving this energy as we moved into Mercury retrograde, and that's actually exactly what happened. We saw those 666 date connections of January 5th, bringing us the first, pullback, and then January 10th was the lows, which were 111 days from our last lows. Then the 11th was the pivot point. The 12th was when we started to get a big, more of a bullish reversal in energy. And then here we are on the 13th. We're kind of just riding the wave. And then we have tomorrow. Tomorrow being the 14th, and this date being Mercury retrograde. Couple things to note, like I brought up in my last video, the 4 months and 7 days since the start of Rosh Hashanah, this 47 comes back to the atomic number of silver. This is very important. I'm going to show you a little bit more about that in a moment. But we do have the connection here of the date numerologies. So when you add up the date, including double digits, the way it is added right here, which is my favorite way to do date numerology, by the way, we can see that it matches Rosh Hashanah. And remember, on this day, we did have a pullback. So I'm wondering if this will be sort of like an as above, so below reaction, because typically we do see Mercury retrograde is more bullish. It's not necessarily the first day of Mercury retrograde that's bullish. It's just the time frame of it. So from the 14th of January tomorrow until I think the 3rd of February, we're going to be having Mercury stationed in retrograde. So there's clearly some other connections here with the date numerologies. You can see these 37s, the 21s, the 57, and then the mirror of 21 and 12. Something to consider. And we will be transitioning into the 15th day of this year. This 15 number comes back to this Chinese New Year that we're about to have, which is the tiger, and that 15. And also, I've shared this with you guys so many times. The new variant is the 15th Greek letter, and that was really the turning point. They did this around Sagittarius in 2021, and that was on purpose. I showed you guys that in the code, and it was insane to see it all come to fruition the way it did. And they're still leveraging on that to push mandates of the jab and all this other draconian nonsense that we knew about on this channel, sharing back pretty much almost a full year ago. We knew this would come, and here we are, and it's all going to happen this year in particular, setting us up for the year of 2023, which is the release, okay? Right now, we're building up energy, we're building up confusion, and then we release that energy and change everything. And that's when the harvest is. That's when they come to collect, all right? That's how this matrix reality works, okay? So, with this all going on, I was also bringing up in my last video how the 15th of January also has this 58 date numerology, and this 58 comes back to Mercury retrograde in the code. Excuse me. Right there, 58 Chaldean. So this is a huge connection, and I was bringing up a bunch of other things regarding Mercury in my last video, in in connection with XRP. But the big thing here is this 58 in Chaldean, again, on the 15th day. And we have the 58 date numerology. This 58 and 15 ties back to XRP. Okay, 58 and the 15. And in full reduction, XRP gives us the 22, just like we are in the Gregorian year of 2022 or the Hebrew year reduced down to 22, which is telling me that this is the year of XRP. Okay, it's between now and 2024 because 24 is the X, 24th letter. But more importantly, I believe it is 2022. And I'm not saying that because I'm an XRP army cult leader moon boy. You guys know how I feel about this coin. I told you that it will be suppressed until it is not suppressed, and then once it is not suppressed, it will skyrocket. And I have even very conservative targets for that. By the way, I have a video that I'm planning to come out with on Patreon very soon, and it will be titled "The Reason Why XRP Isn't basically why isn't it going up? Why hasn't it had its huge explosive move just yet?" And I'm going to share with you guys why I think it's going to go to where it goes, the reasons, the technical analysis, the gematria, everything. So I have that video. I'm planning that very soon because there's been a lot of XRP hate. And this happens a lot when coins are down and suppressed and boring. There's a lot of hate, and it's not just about XRP. You know, I was probably one of the first channels to discuss XRP in every single video, but be very realistic about it and show you why it does what it does based on the code. And that was really, it hurt a lot of people because they were coming to my channel from people that were pushing these ideas of 6-figure XRP, 3-digit XRP even, which, you know, I'm not going to talk down on those people, but we need to have some baby steps first. You know, baby steps before we're sprinting. And if we're seeing a coin sub $1, why are we talking about it at 3 digits? That kind of stuff is really unfair to the listener, to the supporter. And for me, I don't roll that way. You know, I'm showing you guys in the code. And we've done this time and time again, where we saw XRP bottom at 51 cents. That 51 call came out because the reverse of 15 or the mirror of 15, 51. Again, like time and time again, we've seen this code play itself out pretty much perfectly. I mean, even recently, most of the support we saw for XRP was around 76 cents, and that 76 comes back to Ripple, okay? And this ties to Jupiter with the 27. And we know this energy is big, okay? Anyone who's followed my work by now knows that this is big energy, Jupiter. So
the Fed and
let's not get too caught up in this. I do want to show you guys a little bit more about what's going on with this Mercury retrograde chart. So let's step into it. I know that this might look a little bit confusing, so let me turn off some of the moon phases and see what we have going on here. So this is a chart that I shared actually on my Patreon about a week ago or so, and it was dealing with all of these moments when we had eclipses, predominantly back-to-back eclipses. Like you could see, we do have isolated eclipses like we did right here. And it's really these total eclipses that bring us big energy. So we had right here the total lunar eclipse about like 4 or 5 days before that. We have the May 19th correction. You could see right here the day of the total solar eclipse we had on the 4th of December. Huge energy wipeout. And then we lead into Mercury retrograde. So what I'm interested in with this is the fact that we have these 2 back-to-back eclipses, and then we have one of them being a huge energy transition in the market, and then we stayed sideways. But we could also see there's a couple iterations of Mercury retrograde which are in these red boxes where we do just move up bullish the whole time. So we have right here, this is Mercury retrograde, bullish. And we have here in the pretty much beginning of 2021, about a year ago, bullish. And then even back here around September, after the full moon of September when we bottomed out, pretty much just bullish the whole way. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out because we just got done with back-to-back eclipses, one of which being a total solar eclipse, and this type of energy could cause what happened back here. So that would be like we do come back down for a double bottom sometime, you know, in the month of February. I don't want to be too specific with the times. I would personally prefer early February if I had to, like, you know, perceive this any other way. And in the meantime, we could actually move up into the end of this month and then pull back. And we don't necessarily need to make a double bottom. But because we've had iterations of this in the past where we see that these big double bottom moments happen, especially after we have a big washout, low volume, very boring, scary. This is sort of something that I'm leaning on as a possibility. And if this was to happen, like a boring end of this month plus a boring like mid February, that would be a bullish setup in my opinion. Because the longer that they make this boring and low priced, this gives more time to shake out people from the market. Because what they like to do, what the in Wyckoff method, we call them composite man, or, here we've just been calling them the lizards. These people who run the market, they first will scare you out by bringing down the prices substantially, and then they will bore you out. And after they bore you out, what they do is then they bring interest back. And they do this with
This is the normal behavior of the market. Be right back in 10 minutes. A little divergence here. It might play it to the upside. We'll see. I don't like this candle. It can break anytime lower. Maybe we can backtest this 43,400. We'll see. It seems logical we'll backtest this level, but view up is turning down already. 15 minutes is looking nice. Money flow is slow. 30 minute also looking nice. Okay, there is some hope for Bitcoin. 45 minute, that's ugly but diamond. Okay, we'll see, folks, how we go from here. Very probable to dump, so don't go long yet. I'm anyway long, so I won't touch this. Let me see. So this is nice that this line fell and we are above it. We're a little high here, but we might go up. So this is looking nice indeed. I didn't expect it. This is not looking so nice. It can turn around, and this is going up, which means it's bearish. So Bitcoin is in limbo. Euro is going down. Also oil going down. So euro going down more. So I don't think we have so much upside potential here. $43,500 is right here. We have to go through this level, which won't be easy. It won't be easy at all. Nice bottom here. I like this with huge volume. Not huge, but there is volume in this bottom, so I like that.
They're fake news. So they'll either push narratives around whatever going on, and this is pretty amazing how they time it. So if we did get a double bottom, just to give you a scenario, imagine they come out and say Amazon's buying Bitcoin or Amazon's investing in Ethereum. That's all they need to push the market up. So we've seen that shit happen before, like right back here. We saw a big bloody washout, and then they started talking about Tesla investing in Bitcoin, and then all up here they started Elon started talking about Doge and Shiba. But then when the market had a huge shit, Elon was coming out and exposing that he barely holds any Shiba or Doge. He predominantly holds Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is on Tesla's balance sheet. So how you see how they're manipulating people? This man could come out and say that he's a Bitcoin maxi, and it still won't matter the same as when they were pushing Shiba and Doge, because they're just ritualizing this market one step at a time. First they have Bitcoin season, then they have alt season, then they have shitcoin season, then they have dump season, then they have boring season, then they have FOMO you back in season. It's fucking cyclical, okay? And people need to learn this stuff because they get so caught up in the news. So I'm letting you know, once they scare you out, they bore you out, and then they give you some nonsense, a narrative. And these narratives we know are completely made up. Even the economic narratives we hear about tapering and, all of this stuff, it's fugazi, it's fake. Everything about our economy is made up. It's make-believe. And if people aren't aware of that by now, then that's really sad, because here we are living in this time frame where we're seeing inflation skyrocket through the roof. People are pretty much not doing shit about it, and it's clear as day to me that this new world order could control people to an extent of where there's almost no sovereign nature in our lives anymore. And people will actually be happy with that. Just like the World Economic Forum says, you will own nothing and you will be happy. They're not lying to you, they're telling you the truth. And I'm not speaking to you guys necessarily, because I know the people that gravitate towards my work and who are listening to this transmission are enlightened beings. But you're also surrounded by people who are sleepwalkers. And it's important that I'm speaking my truth to you, so you speak your truth to them, and we could win this fight. But until then, as long as people believe in all of this stuff, believe in everything they're being force-fed by the media, well, then how are we going to have an awakening? So I'm here to expose exactly what it is that's moving this market around, which is a huge ritual based on a time loop. And this time loop was designed by people who have basically are magicians, you know, and it's wild to think about. But once you start studying the Rothschilds and, you know, all of these people that are behind the creation of the monetary system to begin with, you're going to start to, you know, unlock some layers into why it's so fraudulent and how it's able to still exist at the rate that it still exists. It's quite fascinating. So one of the other things that I think is interesting about this chart is I do have this firmament dome. I've shown people this back in the past when we had this distributional top for Bitcoin, which ended around these two eclipses and then Mercury retrograde. And this is a similar setup, guys. We have a firmament dome, and this firmament is actually huge dump around the eclipse, and then we see it drag out pretty much an equivocal amount of days from left to right, and then we're starting to get some resistance on the outside of it today. So it'd be interesting if we broke through it and then back tested the outside of the firmament, because I'll show you right here how that worked out in the prior iteration of the firmament dome. So right here you can see we had this crazy accurate firmament dome, which it started all the way back over here. We have multiple touch points, resistance, touch point, and then every single new high we had a touch point until we had the big washout. So this was the eclipse. And then here, once we started trading into it again, we actually broke through it in a sideways, boring kind of consolidation range, and then rode the outside of the firmament on a double bottom, and then we left to create a new all-time high. So I actually drew a similar length of firmament, which is kind of more similar to this one as opposed to the last chart I showed you. And this could be making a little bit more sense in regards to dragging us out for like perhaps highs into April and May, like I've told you about before. I'm more focused on the month of April. So this would be really interesting to see this all play out if we were to get this price action right here, where we break through, have a little bit of trading on the outside into the full moon of this month, which is coming up in like 4 days, bounce outside of it, and then we start to see this next firmament that I've shown you on this chart start to play out, you know, probably by the full moon of February. This would all be in alignment with the timing of boring people out. You know, it takes about like 100 days to bore someone out of the market. And if we look from here, this big washout to about here where we got the release, so it was about 64 days. That's about 2 months. You know, that's a pretty substantial amount of time in crypto. 1 day in crypto feels like a month in the stock market. So, you know, when it comes to a 60 to 70 day period of time, that's pretty arduous. And if we were to look right here from when the start of this crown top was until the breakdown, that's about 96 days. So we typically spend as about many days in reaccumulation as we do in distribution, for those of you that study Wyckoff. And right now we know that there's a clear support level around 42. So we are about 167 days in this huge pattern. And that's why I warned people, you know, if we are going to start breaking down into the 38K, 37K Bitcoin, there's a possibility for this head and shoulders to play out. And that's a macro head and shoulders. So it's no joke. So again, no hopium by talking about this bullish Mercury retrograde. I'm just showing you the charts. I'm showing you what we've seen happen before. And the fact that we've seen Bitcoin go below 30 RSI, it's pretty much the time that we start to expect a little bit of a bounce. Even Ethereum was dropping to about, 26 RSI on the daily. So with that being said, the obvious price target would be somewhere around 45K for the short-term resistance. And then for the big heavy resistance, it's going to be around 49 to 50,000 with the highs to break at 51.6. If Bitcoin can close dailies above 51.6, well, then we could have a noticeable reversal. But we're pretty far away from that, and I don't want to be, full-blown hopium just yet. We need to take it one step at a time. And because right here, this level, you could see if you pause the video, that's where all the prior support was, and that's typically the level that we would consider how are we going to react when we get back there, if we do get back there. Of course, Bitcoin can just roll over here, double bottom into late January, and then bounce a little bit later, and that would be a much better structure because, you know, that's just how it works. They get you to think that we're recovering instantaneously, but it's not. We've seen it happen back here, and this whole area back here, we saw that happen. It took a while, like I showed you, about 70 days off the bottom. And if we were to consider a similar setup right here of the 19th of May, this would be like akin to December 4th, okay? Now, if we took all the way over to the bottom right here on July 20th, let's call it July 21st, that's 63 days. So let's go from the date of the 4th over 63 days, and this is going to show you about February 5th would be a similar movement on the lows comparatively to what we got back here. And it's a similar setup, crown distributional top, huge 30% plus wipeout, back-to-back eclipses, one of which was a total eclipse, Mercury retrograde. I mean, damn, it's so similar, actually. And it was barely a new all-time high. It's pretty much a double top bull trap, okay? So we're close. We're close to getting some resolution. And I would say by mid-February, we're gonna start to see that show up in the charts. So with that being said, let's quickly get into the DXY before I forget that, because there has been some things showing in the DXY. First of all, we did have a break of the lows right here at around 95.5. We can see that that was the back test before the new high. That was the back test again on the 30th of November, and then an attempt of the 31st. Finished off the year okay. And then once we had this day, it was about 2 days ago, come to pass, there was a breakdown, and there was also some moving averages to align with that, and it was the 55. So once we closed below the 55 simple moving average on the daily, you can see that it broke down, and where it broke down to, it was actually a pretty clean level this morning. It was right here at about 94.6. I actually exposed that to the Patreon members yesterday in Trading Wolves that we should expect 94.6. That is exactly where we came down to today. And the reason I came up with that was because it's in alignment with this wick right here and these wick highs. So that's just a prior resistance. Could it flip as support? Yeah, of course. That's how it all works with TA. Now, we do have this cross coming in soon. This is the 8 simple and the 55 simple. This is a wolf cross. My cross that I use to determine basically reversals. So you can see that the last time that this was bearish crossed was back here on the 6th of September, which was literally Rosh Hashanah. Now, it was a fake out bounce continuation, and I know if I turn off the drawings, this might be more helpful. You see where we bounced off of this green moving average, which is the 200 exponential. We had multiple bounces. So here we were very, very bearish at that time, but it's a huge W pattern, which is a bullish pattern, okay? The first V of the W is a low. The second V is a higher low. And then once you recover above these 200s, you're pretty much good for a rally. Now, what we're seeing is this might have gassed out at around 77 RSI on the daily, and this is about to cross bearish again with a cascading price, as opposed to here, it was, it had some support because it was close to that 200 exponential. Right here, there's a big gap between the 55 and the 200, which is telling me, obviously, the next level to test for the dollar would be 93.9, pretty much 94. That would be in alignment with the 200 exponential. If it cannot hold that, then you're pretty much going to expect it to go to the 200 simple, and that would be a key level because that is the neckline of that W that I just showed you about, this W right here. So why does this all matter? Well, because if the DXY drops all the way to 93, that would give a relief rally to the stock market. The stock market will absolutely be heading towards new all-time highs, and then at the same time, that's going to support the crypto market. That'll also support the precious metals market. So with a drop all the way down to 93, which I'm not saying will happen, that's just the technicals. If we see this wolf cross, the odds are we're going to start heading down to the 94 level. If we cannot hold that 200 exponential, we're most likely going to slide down to the 200 simple, and that would be back testing the key level right here of this support before the breakdown, the neckline of the W, and pretty much all the resistance of that W before we had a relief rally. Now, one thing to watch out for also, this is the dollar, guys. It's not as volatile as something like crypto. So when this gets into slightly oversold on the RSI, you do need to pay attention to that. And right now we're sitting at 32 already. This was a very quick fall. That's not a good thing. Okay, so just when we're perceiving this technically, I do suspect we will get a bounce. And I do think the dollar is going to be bullish for the whole year, meaning I do not think it's going to break lower than 89. I don't think it'll go lower than that for now. I think that was the lowest it'll go, and this is pretty much a bull pattern. And this would make a lot of sense in the macro too, just because of the idea of inflation, and also something to go along with this. We're in Shemitah, and historically, Shemitah is a deflationary period. It always is, especially when the Shemitah ends, okay? So if you consider, we always... typically we see every 7 years on the 7th transitioning into the 8th year after Rosh Hashanah, we get a big market pullback. When the market pulls back, that is bullish for the dollar. So if we've already tested 96 with all-time highs in the stock market pretty much like a week ago, imagine we bounce off these 93 levels. This shit's gonna rally. So, I would not be surprised if by like the transition of November into December, almost at the end of next year, a full year away, we're up at 100. I would not be surprised with that. And then we'll see, it'll just be a wild environment, but that is pretty much what to expect when you consider Shemitah, when you consider that we have a bubble, like in the stock market and the housing market and all things considered. So I do see this being short-term bearish. That would lead up to a bullish March and April. But after that, I do see a recovery because we have sell in May, walk away. Stock market tends to sell off May into June. And then besides that, the fall time is always historically pretty bad for the market as a whole, and that is historically bullish for the dollar. So I gave you the short-term price target to the downside and how it's going to play out and what it could cause for the market as a whole. Hope that was helpful, because that stuff does actually matter. It didn't matter so much when we were in Sagittarius, when we were transitioning into the end of the year, but now that we're in the new year, it is going to start to show up and surface as a thing to consider in regards to our overall analysis. So the last thing to say about Bitcoin really is, if we're going to get any downside targets, it's probably going to be somewhere around the 91.4, 91.5 level. If we start to close dailies below that, that was when we would start to see, that's when we could start to see things get ugly. And if 40K cannot hold, well, that's lights out. So for now, on the upside, definitely 45.5 is something to watch out for. And then right what I told you about the 50K level, you can see these three moving averages coiled up. That's the 55, 200, exponential, 200 simple, all coiled up around that key level. And if we were to get above that and actually get rejected here at 52 and then come back down to this 45, that would be an inverse head and shoulders, and that will be incredibly bullish for this stage of the bull run. So we have our left shoulder, head, and then potential right shoulder, and that breakout target would be somewhere into 60,000, and that could take up until like the end of February, perhaps moving into March. So ETH, really quickly go over this. We do have a similar scenario where we bounced, actually made a higher low. We can't confirm it as a higher low until we break above 3,900, which is right there with the 55 simple moving average. Sign of strength. Now XRP and a lot of these altcoins, and we know XRP, once it goes that low, look at what it does. Just fucking rockets right out of the pocket. So in the event that we were to have a similar structure where we came down again to the 786 level and then go up 150%, we'd be pretty much back testing the golden pocket of the big macro pull somewhere around 140, right? So just something to keep in mind. That could take some time to play out. I suspect it could take probably until like mid-February to late February, just like I was saying with Bitcoin. But in the meantime, Something to keep an eye on, this bearish retrace that I showed you, put that on your chart, study how this works a little more, and you're going to be able to determine price targets to the downside way before they happen. Because you could have pulled this to this, and you would have known 130 days in advance how low this can actually go, would be the 888, but more than likely accumulation is around the bottom of the golden pocket. Because this is a bearish retrace, it is in reverse. So that's 702 to the 786. That's the golden area to be accumulating for anyone who's long on any crypto. You could do this on every single crypto, guys. So that's a little tutorial on how to use those Fibonacci's. Anyways, if you guys were interested in learning more about how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can get my mastermind course, which is available on my website, watersabovecrypto.com, and also the mastermind community over on Patreon. Going to be doing a lot of decoding this month, and I also plan to have some exit strategy stuff being released from my mastermind course and as a separate product pretty soon for those of you that are interested in exit strategies. With that being said, let's see how Mercury retrograde plays out tomorrow over the next couple days, and then we do have our full moon coming up very soon, and I will be updating you guys with all that information in my next video. Have a great rest of your day. Much love.
Bitcoin looks good, by the way. Let's see if we can go above this candle. There is some divergence here. Yeah, right here and right here. So for now I'll keep my positions open. There is no reason to close them yet. It seems this 15-minute is going up, and let's see, we have VWAP, we have money flow going up, so it may pump. Let's say it may pump to 43,400. 43,400 is exactly this level. So yeah, I'm looking at this. Okay, actually, place take profit 43,400. Yeah, let's see. That's in any case if I'm not here, but yeah.
Our government said a lot of things that were lies. What do you want to do? You want to start trusting them now? No chance.
Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin. In today's video, I want to share with you the latest news involving Bitcoin, involving altcoins, as well as why you're being lied to about this crypto market. If you're interested in making money with cryptocurrency, click subscribe right now. We drop a video every single day demystifying this cryptocurrency market. Let's jump in, starting with that CNBC clip and what just happened involving Jack Mallers' company, Strike. Welcome, Argentina. Today we launch a superior financial experience to a country that faces hyperinflation, predatory payment networks, and unusable cross-border transfers. Today, we use the world's open monetary network, Bitcoin, to give hope to the people of Argentina. This is huge. This is a huge step for adoption of Bitcoin, because what this means is that anybody that just has a cell phone in Argentina can now send instant, feeless cross-border payments in Bitcoin or regular payments on the Bitcoin network. Now, like the video, get this information out there, and that brings us to our main clip that I want to share with you today. Listen to Jack Mallers' response after the CNBC host asks Jack where he sees the price of Bitcoin headed next. Jack obviously says up, but listen to his reasoning on why. That despite the manipulation of the monetary system from the Fed, from the US government, it's Bitcoin that is the most transparent monetary network that we have. This is about a 2-minute clip. Watch this.
Let me bring this back to those in the U.S. who are wondering about the value of their crypto, Jack. Not that Strike is here to make a prediction on Bitcoin, but it is in Bitcoin network is inherent to the product. So where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going from here, and how much does it matter?
Up is where I think it's going. Listen, Kelly, when the monetary policy, the supply, the issuance of the asset is known, the only missing variable is demand. And people are in high demand. The Federal Reserve has perverted risk tolerance across all assets, and the savings account has been robbed of the everyday person. They have to store their value in something else. Housing is not going to have every 4 years. There's not a fixed supply on any precious metal, any security, any equity. Bitcoin is the premier asset, is designed and engineered by us human beings to resolve of this exact problem of preserving and storing and saving wealth. And so I think it's up. It's going to appreciate against any denomination it's paired against.
Is it, though, Jack, a different environment? All of the arguments that you're making, now we have a Fed that's out there talking about, tightening policy quite considerably.
Listen, I mean, Kelly, it's an insurance policy. The Fed and our government said a lot of things that were lies. What do you want to do? You want to start trusting them now? No chance. And it's really quite ridiculous. The Federal Reserve has perverted risk tolerance across all assets. No one knows the cost of anything, and it's really jeopardized the middle and lower class in particular. And now you have venture capitalists raising billions of dollars and advocating that people store their savings and their kids' college tuition in cartoon drawings of deranged apes called NFTs. It's an absolute madhouse. It's disgusting. And Bitcoin is the signal. Bitcoin is the peace. Bitcoin is the future. It's the only monetary policy that's defended within a truly distributed network that we can rely on. The rest is noise. And whether they're lying now, telling the truth tomorrow, lying next month, it doesn't matter to me because I've subscribed myself to a monetary policy that I can trust and I know won't change.
All right. Give me your thoughts on this down below. And when you hear the Fed say that the crypto market, that Bitcoin is the most manipulated from Coinbase, check it out. If we take a look at the variety that
Guys, I'm thinking to end the stream. I'll probably put it on later in the afternoon because I have some things to do. Cheers, enjoy.